Sales is a difficult world, but there are certain environments which lend themselves more toward making salespeople successful. If we're allowed to flourish, the chances are high that we will maximize our opportunities. Focusing outward on the competition is much better than having salespeople squabbling amongst themselves over commission splits or who owns the client. Giving salespeople enormous upside for success encourages greater commitment to the cause. Ross Perot was IBM's most highly paid salesperson until the senior executives took umbrage that he was earning more than they were. Their egos reduced his remuneration, and so he left to start his own company, Electronic Data Systems, EDS. If they had been a bit smarter, he would have kept earning the company huge revenues, and they would have ridden the earnings wave. Does your firm embrace success or want to control it? Welcome back to this weekly edition every Tuesday of the Cutting Edge Japan Business Show. I'm your host, Dr. Greg Story, President of Dale Carnegie Training Japan and best-selling author of Japan Sales Mastery. We are bringing the show to you from our High Performance Center in Akasaka in Minato-ku, the business center of Tokyo. Why the cutting edge? In this show, we are looking at the critical areas for success in business in Japan. We want to help advance everyone's thinking so that we'll be at the forefront, the cutting edge of how to flourish here in this market. Before we get into this week's topic, here is what caught my attention lately. Kotaro Chiba started his drone fund in 2017 and was oversubscribed. He's planning to raise 2 more funds. McKinsey predicts that in 5 to 10 years, the skies will be filled with drones delivering goods, and in 10 to 15 years, we'll be heading to work in flying cars. Does anyone remember the Jetsons cartoons from the 60s? Chiba says, it's like a gold rush in the air, and the first movers will reap the best results. The Japanese government is trying to create the laws and the infrastructure needed to put flying cars into the sky in the next decade. Drone startup Skybot predicts the Japan drone market could reach $20 billion by 2025. Japan Post has successfully tested drone deliveries between 2 post offices in Fukushima 9 kilometers apart in November. This was done completely remotely with no visual monitoring for the first time. Packages weighing up to 2 kilograms will be delivered in about 10 minutes. In other news, the Japan Press Research Institute found that TV is used by 92% of people in Japan as a source of news. Japan is still quite unique in this regard. The internet topped the list of news sources for those up to the age of 49, and for those over 50, they preferred television for their news. Regarding the reliability of news, NHK earned 70.8 out of 100 points, followed by newspapers at 69.6 points and the internet at 49 points. This is episode number 57, and we are talking about ideal sales support. それでは行きましょう. So let's get going. Public floggings and humiliation will continue until the sales team morale and performance improves. What are today's revenue results? How much is in the pipeline? When will we get paid by the client? What is the run rate? Will we meet our budget? What have you done for me lately? This is the lexicon of sales. The sales results are the product of a series of processes. There is usually ample attention placed on sales processes, but sometimes we need to step back from the detail, the mechanics, and the techniques and contemplate the overall environment we have created for sales to flourish. Your Japanese sales manager yelling at the sales team and berating them for underperformance is usually not very productive because the motivation drops and a vicious downward spiral kicks in. The client's best interests are out the window immediately, and in short order, the unnecessary brand flesh wounds start to accumulate. We need to redirect the team's performance by moving things forward rather than constantly combing through the bitter ashes of past defeats. Here are 5 environment builders to boost the success of the sales team. Number 1, best our rivals' sales. Well, sales can be very internally focused. The constant review of sales numbers and focusing on existing clients draws us to a web of self-absorption. Salespeople compete with each other rather than with their external rivals. We need to change our focus from inside to outside. Shifting the world into us and them can be a great focus and encouragement. Unfortunately, a lot of the us and them is often too internally focused. This is usually centered on the failings of marketing or IT or production or just about anybody outside of sales who can be blamed for the lack of production of results. Better to focus this caustic energy on the competition. Intense rivalry is a motivator, and beating the other sales team is a worthy goal that appeals to the competitive nature of salespeople, so let's focus them outward. Number 2, high income factory. Having no limits on salespeople's earnings motivates. Pretty obvious. Sadly, the ego of the president or the sales director can get swept up in this commission-based melee, especially when they realise that individual salespeople are earning more than they are. Emasculating or ending a successful sales structure because of ego or greed is stupid. But it happens anyway, as the Ross Perot example underlines. Rather than reducing commission, let's keep the no ceiling attraction there to drive results and make sure it becomes a win-win for everyone. Japan rarely operates on 100% commission, so there is usually a base and commission trade-off. Why not 100%? Because salespeople don't have to accept that much risk. They have many choices about where they will work, and they are risk-averse, so base and bonus is best, base and commission is second best. Keeping the unlimited income prospect in everyone's sights is good business because the corresponding base pay rates can be kept lower. Even if performance takes time to produce or is not being generated, then the actual fixed costs remain low. The more salespeople succeed, the more attractive you are as the employer to the quality talent you want to attract and retain. What are some other things that work well? Find out more when we come back from the break. If you want to sell more and do it more easily, do the Sales Advantage course. If you can't build trust, no sale. Can't design excellent questions to understand the client's needs? No sale. Can't present the solution convincingly? No sale. Can't handle objections properly? No sale. Can't close? No sale. Master the sales process by doing the Sales Advantage course now in either Japanese or English. The bestseller, Japan Sales Mastery, is the new Bible of selling in Japan. To sell to Japanese buyers, you need to create long-term partner-level trust, fully understand Japanese buyers' real needs, convince buyers with your solutions, overcome their hesitation, fear and doubt, know how to ask for the order, ensure repeat orders. This book is the product of 30 plus years in the trenches selling in Japan. Order Japan Sales Mastery now. Welcome back. Number 3, focus on personal development. The basics of sales can't be neglected or truncated. Every high-performance athlete or sports team goes back to the basics at the start of every season. Salespeople should be no different. Back to the basics on a regular basis eliminates or confines bad habits. Your own presentation can become boring to you. The client usually only ever hears it once, but the salesperson could be giving the same basic presentation 20 or 30 times a week. Shortcuts emerge, bad habits surface, best practices are trimmed, inconsistencies pop up, complacency arises when salespeople, even the good ones, find themselves immersed in dull routine. Stimulation to vary the presentation or to inject some fresh ideas into the sales conversation is needed. Training, attending sales rallies, industry-related conferences and events, support for reading and online courses are all magic stimuli for salespeople. Are your people getting their fair share of this sales stimulation? Number 4, self-directed. In the famous movie Glengarry Glen Ross, the sales leads are so valuable they are placed in the company's safe. Ace sales guy Ricky Roma, played by Al Pacino, is the only one who is not dependent on the company-provided leads. Moral of the story, don't let the salespeople become dependent on leads generated by the marketing department or from the web. Networking uncovers clients. Highly targeted cold calls creates new clients. Asking for referrals gets new business. Calling clients who've gone a bit quiet gets new sales. The best sales culture is one of accountability for production, independence, and a will to achieve. Organised tenacity, creativity, freedom, self-starter, success orientation should be the dominant attributes. Make it clear at the hiring point. This is how we roll here, because sales is a brutally honest results culture. Number 5, high praise and recognition. It may be thought that self-directed salespeople don't need praise or approbation. Guess what? They want it anyway. Don't ever underestimate the competitive nature of salespeople and their appetite for having their egos stroked. Successful sales leadership builds people and manages processes. Paying attention to the macro environment, as well as the gritty detail, will help build a sustainable, high-performance culture in your sales organization. Is what I've outlined here doing a good job in describing your work environment? If not, take some initiative and push hard to change it to a success model rather than let it continue as a blame model. If you can't change it, then get out. Good salespeople are welcome everywhere, and life, it's too short to work for idiots. Action steps. 1, step back and take a good hard look at the sales environment that has been created to date. 2, make the competitive focus outward, not inward. 3, provide no ceiling commission structures to motivate everyone. 4, invest in the development of sales success. 5, make organised tenacity, creativity, freedom, success orientation the dominant attributes. And 6, don't ever underestimate the competitive nature of salespeople and our appetite for having our egos stroked. The Cutting Edge Japan Business Show is here to help you succeed in Japan. Subscribe on YouTube, share it with your family, friends, and colleagues. Become a regular. Thank you for watching this episode, and remember to hit the subscribe button. Our website details are on screen now, enjapan.dalecarnegie.com. Awesome value, so check it out. In episode 58, we are talking about creativity needs mistakes to be allowed in Japan. Find out more about that next week. So, yoroshiku onegai itashimasu. Please join me for the next episode of the Cutting Edge Japan Business Show. We are here to help you, and we have only one direction in mind for you and your business, and that is up.